French far-right leader Marine Le Penhas said she will not call for French President Emmanuel Macron's resignation if her party wins during the snap parliamentary elections. So how should the markets be reading the proposed cohabitation between the two? For more on this, we bring in Ulrich Leuchtmann, Commerzbank head of FX research. Ulrich, thank you so much for being here today. I want to start on what we are seeing in France because I'm curious if this is a risk pattern that investors need to be watching out for, specifically with regards to France and the EU. Is the potential for France to diverge from the EU more broadly already priced into markets, or is that a risk investors are not adequately priced for?
I think this is not fully priced in, because I think the general perception of the market is, yes, it can get more complicated, and this is a risk for especially for crisis times if they come up somewhere in the future. But this is only a problem at the margin from the FX market's perspective, and I think the market is not pricing in any catastrophic risk at the moment on the political side in Europe.
So then talk to us about that risk and what exactly, I guess, that fallout could potentially look like.
Well, look, I mean, the euro is a political project. We don't have a common currency because of some natural processes, but because of political decisions. And if the political landscape shifts more towards skepticism about Europe, then it's certainly something where the market is asking, well, what's the future for the euro? And I mean, we all saw in past crisis times that leaving the euro is nearly not an option under any circumstances, but less euphoria regarding the euro is creating problems on its own. Because look, what would happen if we would see a new eurozone crisis, like in 2010, 2012? Would new, more euro-skeptic governments be willing to create bailout mechanisms as they did past then? And if not, what would be the consequence of the crisis? Therefore, it's not about Euro's future tomorrow or in a couple of months' time or even in a couple of years' time. It's about this what happens in crisis times.
Well, I'm curious, when you talk about crisis time, what you think in terms of what we might be seeing here domestically. Obviously, we are heading for a potential election. An actual election rather, but investors seem split on what a potential Trump presidency might mean, particularly for the dollar. So I'm curious from your perspective, Ulrich, what do you think potential Trump presidency could mean for the dollar?
Well, at the margin, I think most of the market participants rightfully remember what happened last time in 2016 when Trump became president. And this was positive for the US dollar for a lot of reasons, partly because tariffs are something which is good for the US dollar, partly for other reasons. But I think this is therefore probably the likely scenario, a little bit of US dollar strength. But the point is, this all could be ruined if Trump in any way would materially hamper the Fed's independence. And we all know, we have seen plans going into this direction. Therefore, we all don't know if this will become reality. But if the market is pricing in this kind of risk, then it certainly would be US dollar negative.
Talk to us a little bit more about what you were just saying about Fed dependence or independence. I missed that. Can you just restate that and exactly what that ultimately means then you were saying to the dollar?
Well, last time Trump, during his first presidency, was quite critical about the Fed, but it only was words he was uttering. He nominated a very conventional chairman with Powell, but next time you cannot be sure that it will be the same. And if it would be different, if it would be a much more unconventional Fed chair who would replace Powell during Trump's next potential term, then it would be something different. The most important part from the FX market perspective is Fed's independence. Will they run a interest rate policy which is mainly targeted on containing inflation risks? And this is something which would be good for the dollar. But on the other hand, if the Fed would be more political under a new chair, then this might be problematic, and this might then cause US dollar weakness. So it's all, from my point of view, depends on Trump's stance towards the Federal Reserve.
That's a great point there. Ulrich Leuchtmann, thanks so much for joining us here today on Yahoo Finance, Commerzbank's head of FX research. Thanks, Ulrich.
Thank you.